Hi, I'm George, and welcome back to DIY Camp Life. And this video is an update to one I posted a few weeks ago about installing a second Wattcycle 100 amp hour mini lithium iron phosphate battery in my hiker trailer. And stick around, I'll share what's happened since then, the issues I ran into, and how it all turned out. I'll see you in a minute. A few weeks back, I posted a video about adding a second battery to my camper. Originally, I had one Wattcycle 100 amp hour mini Bluetooth lithium iron phosphate battery. And when I built my power system, I designed it with a tray that can hold two of these. And they're much smaller than your standard Group 24 batteries. I bought the first one in July of 2025, and by late October, I had used it about 3 times with 0 issues. Shore power, solar power, discharge, repeat, all flawless. Then around Labor Day, Wattcycle had another sale, so I ordered the second battery. I was at Overland Expo at the time, and it delivered while I was there. And when I got home, I installed the second one in parallel. Positive from one, negative from the other, just like they recommend. I charged it up with solar power, and then that's where the first video ended. Right after that, things got interesting. My first issue was an overvoltage protection. Once the second battery, the newer one, hit full charge, it just kept on charging, and it would 100% until it finally shut itself with the overvoltage protection warning. However, with the app that they had, it was an easy fix. I was able to balance both batteries to charge at the same voltage, which was the issue, and that solved the problem. The app solved the problem. But the bigger issue is they wouldn't discharge together. The load would only draw from one battery at a time, and if I turned that battery off, then it would draw from the other one. It would never draw from both batteries simultaneously. It would never split the load. So I was a bit frustrated about that, and I immediately emailed Wattcycle support. I sent them the serial numbers, my setup details, and then while I was sending all that stuff, I noticed that the firmware versions on the batteries were completely different. So I sent that off, and I waited. And to my surprise, that same evening, I got a detailed email back, and I've got to say their customer service at this point was incredible. They explained that the 2 firmware versions were incompatible, which is kind of what I thought when I saw that. So it caused the BMS units not to communicate properly. And unfortunately, the firmware could not be updated on the user end. It could only be done on their end. So they offered me a solution. I could send back to both 100 amp hour minis and upgrade to a single 314 amp hour mini battery for a small fee, which sounded good to me. So I went ahead with the swap. Within a week, they emailed me return labels. And as soon as those old batteries were in the mail, the new battery was on the way. I was shocked. So while waiting for the new battery, I decided to stress test the 2 smaller ones, so to speak. So for 5 days, I ran everything that I possibly could. I had the fridge running below freezing, all the fans running. I plugged in USB devices left and right. I even found an old radar detector. I plugged that in. And what I found matched pretty much what other people were saying online, that the low loads only draw from one battery, while higher loads might split the load. And with that, I found that the first battery that was drawing hit about 75% capacity before battery B would then jump in and pick up the load. At the same time that B was picking up the load, battery A started recharging itself from battery B. It was weird. They would just go back and forth. They basically just took turns charging and discharging off of one another. So after 5 days, battery A was at 90%, battery B was at 60%. And while I know it's not perfect, I mean, I guess it still worked. I still had 75% usable power, and everything was still running. So a day or 2 later, the new 314 amp hour battery arrived. And I want to be totally transparent here, so let's talk cost. The first 100 amp hour battery cost me $189. The second one that I bought during the expo was $199. The agreement was I would pay an upgrade fee of $100, and the total cost out of pocket for me was $489. And the last I checked, that 314 amp hour mini Bluetooth that I bought is currently on sale for $499. So it's all kind of evened out, but none of this was sponsored. I paid for everything, and this is a completely honest review based solely on my experience. No sponsors here. The new 314 amp hour mini battery fit perfectly in my hiker trailer's galley. It's heavier, it's about 60 pounds compared to 40 pounds for the two smaller 100 amp hour ones. But now I'm running over 300 amp hours of power. That means based on my typical use, I can run without solar for nearly a week, which is awesome. And of course, the trade-off is that it's a single battery. If it fails, I have no backup. So I guess I'll have to bring a small power bank or something with me just in case. Now I have to say again, Wattcycle's customer service is top notch. Every email was polite, professional, detailed, and helpful. And I'd send a message during the day and I'd always get a reply that night. So I assume they're in another time zone, most likely China, but they always responded. They didn't charge me for shipping for the larger battery, even though this thing was well over 60 pounds and it probably shipped freight. But they genuinely wanted to make sure that I was taken care of, and that means a lot in the customer service world. So a big shout out to Wattcycle customer service team. You guys nailed it. So that's the update. Now I'm running a single 314 amp hour battery. So far it's performing flawlessly. If you've ever used Wattcycle batteries or any lithium iron phosphate batteries with some sort of Bluetooth BMS, I'd love to hear your experience. If you run them in parallel, did you see the same behavior that I did? Drop me a comment below and let me know. Maybe I missed something, and it's a great opportunity for me to learn things that I don't know. If you found this helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more DIY camping and trailer upgrade videos. Thanks for watching DIY Camp Life. See you at the next one.